I think I came because originally, I've been dealing with this for so long, I was in control, so I could manage it, and when I felt like I started to lose control, I had to accept that I needed to reach out for more help and kind of get a new perspective, and instead of just me kind of carrying myself, I started to recognise that I needed more. So just old tricks weren't working, old strategies weren't working, so I needed something different, bringing a lot of anxiety. I've dealt with fatigue symptoms for about 10 years. Initially when it first started, I was seeing a GP that was aware of CFS and used alternative medicines. He used mainstream and Chinese herbal. He was also an acupuncturist who was trained by a specialist, so he was kind of the good combination at the time because he had multiple different perspectives that he could draw from, which worked, and it worked for a long time. I would also mix that with the chiropractor because we knew that just kind of helped. We actually didn't really know why that did, but it's starting to make sense now of why it does help. And on and off, it was just maintenance for a few years. Whenever it would get bad, I'd pick up a few more appointments to kind of help settle it down, but I would mainly just implement strategies that I'd learned over the years, but it wouldn't really have such, not since I was younger. The first few years that was the worst, were more heavy appointments and trying to maintain, and then the years after that was mainly just managing and kind of keeping in touch. It wasn't heavy care. My symptoms are mainly, the big one is the pins and needles in my hands that I get. I get aches in my hands. It's like I lose my fine motor skills. Also the brain fog is big. I'm aware that I cognitively can't process as easily as when I know I'm on point in a way. I feel it go. The fatigue is the big obvious symptom. The feeling of not being able to get up and function and do activities that I know I usually could do or used to be able to do would be the main ones. My cycle, would usually describe it as a heavy, very painful, uncomfortable experience of a week with a heavy flow, massive cramps in the lead up to the actual bleed, and very uncomfortable cramps during. Like I would have to be holding myself in agony really since I really started, so I was about 14. It's always been like that. 10 years and 24 now. My bowel function previously was unpredictable. It was irritable. I would not be able to really anticipate whether I'd get upset or not on fatty foods or anything that my stomach wouldn't really like. I would get a reaction prior to starting, and it's definitely settled down now. Foods that I would normally think that I would have a reaction with, like my stomach would get upset due to greasiness or fattiness. Now it's like my stomach can process it and handle it. It might feel a bit of a grumble, but I won't have a reaction. It's like it's suddenly handling it better. To the point of diarrhea. And yeah, the diarrhea, having to go to the bathroom. And then it would settle down eventually, but maybe going once or twice due to eating a certain meal. I would say with previous care, they'll try to fix whatever was happening. If I was in pain, they would do something to fix the pain. It wasn't trying to strategize around preventing it. There wasn't really preventive measures. It was just fixing and settling what was happening. It was a response instead of trying to prevent, really. I see the difference. I'm starting to feel it when I behave differently. Your brain starts learning quickly that this stops me hurting. Like when I don't crack my hands, I know that my hands won't ache. When I do, it starts aching, so I stop. Which is quite crazy considering I've been dealing with that symptom for years, and now it's just stopping because I've changed one habit. And it's had such a big impact, which then I feel like I function better in my hands, which is a big symptom, so it's very meaningful to me that I can function differently and be more comfortable just from the slightest change. I've been coming for a month now, and I think I reached out 3 weeks before that, so I had 3 weeks of build-up of just learning about it. So I wasn't really, well, you wouldn't be seeing much because nothing's happening yet. Just trying to get my head around it, and then I've been coming for a month, and it is crazy how much has changed in a few weeks. When you compare it to 10 years of dealing with it, 1 month can turn around so much. Just seeing little changes, little victories, little habits that are being tweaked, how they all have this domino effect. Everything relates to one little change has so many benefits, and then they all work together to make one big gain in the end. I find a spreadsheet beneficial because with the symptom of bad memory, I don't really realise, or it takes me a really long time to be able to self-reflect internally when I just think about even just the past week, how it's been. I'll just summarise it was bad, but when I actually have everything laid down, it's easier to recognise good moments, which kind of lifts you up, and then you can see it continuously happening instead of just going, oh, that was a good week or a bad week, then it went back to good. I'm starting to see consistencies that I wasn't noticing before.
Nikki?
A good moment would be an improvement in symptoms, or even just the anxiety with it all, just seeing everything feel like it's settling, like you are in control of this. You can see a record of benefits. I've seen good moments of even just in generally feel like I'm taking control. I feel like I do have a say about what happens, which is great. It's very empowering. And symptoms just feeling like they're working together instead of just fighting against each other. They all relate, which just kind of relieves you that it all makes sense, instead of just, oh, this happens, this happens, this happens, and I don't know why, but they actually do relate. Yes, this helps link it all together, that my body's just not reacting in spontaneous different ways for no reason. It's actually logical. When I was thinking about it, I had a sense of skepticism in a way that, well, nothing's really changed in the 10 years, so what's going to happen now? I've done similar things, so why would it be different? In a way, like, you kind of give up and just kind of accept that that's the level you're going to be forever, because after a decade, why would it change? And you have people feeding in your ear, you have ignorant people, you have people who are overly researched, so they all have their own thoughts of what's going to happen with your body, but they don't realise that everyone's so different. Other people with CFS have completely different symptoms that I don't even experience, so we can't even relate to each other, so how would someone else even try to relate to me? Well, other people with CFS with this kind of care, I would say, like, it might not work for everyone, but it's working for me so far. After a month, I've got another 5 to go, and I can't imagine how far that's going to take me, so I would encourage them to try. It is scary, but you got to keep trying till it works, or till something works. Can you go past 10? You bring it up to 11 if you could reference that. I wouldn't want them to not pursue it, because I would want them to feel the changes that I'm feeling. I wouldn't want them to sit there and not try for better.